Good afternoon, everybody. Today we are going to be making baked rodeo hash. You're going to need 4 or 5 potatoes sliced. They could be a little thicker than this, but I got one of those slicer things finally, and I guess I'm not really hip on doing it correctly. But anyway, 4 or 5 potatoes sliced. You're going to need a pound to a pound and a half of hamburger meat. You're going to need a can of cream of mushroom soup. You're going to need a can, once you pour this out, a can of the beef broth. You're going to need some seasoning blend, or you're going to need one small onion, and maybe half of a bell pepper. I'm going to be seasoning this with some garlic powder, my crazy mixed up salts, some salt, and some pepper. Okay, once we get this browned, you're also going to need a, this is an 8.5 by 11 pan to put it in. We're going to get this layered up and it's going to go in the oven. So just give me a few minutes. I'm going to get this meat started and I'll be right back. Just a little FYI, I always forget to take my hamburger meat out until I'm ready to start cooking. So if you're like me and you don't want to put it in the microwave to thaw it out because it does wind up cooking around the edges, I usually just put it in my pan. I put a little bit of water on the bottom. I cover it. I put it on medium heat and let it thaw out that way. So once it gets about 50% thawed, then I'll go in and add my vegetables. I'm in my tiny kitchen trying to start really cooking only in here. So it's going to be a little bit crowded, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so now that the meat is almost thawed out, we're going to go ahead and add our seasoning in. And of course, if you're not like me and you plan your meals ahead of time and your hamburger meat is thawed out, then you would start your meat with all the seasoning in it and brown it all together. And to me, that just makes your meat, it's seasoned all the way through and not just, to me, a top layer. So then you're going to just add salt to the top. I usually just kind of sprinkle it over the top. Garlic powder. And, with this, you can season it if you like other seasonings. I wouldn't necessarily put anything spicy in here. I don't know. I just think that would change the flavor too much, but that's just me. I mean, if you like it spicy. Now, I do add a good bit of pepper. Got it right up my nose. And then my crazy mixed up salt. This is a really good blend if you don't want to buy a whole lot of seasonings. It has oregano, it has salt, pepper, garlic. It has a lot of different seasonings in it. So, and since I use salt, I don't use a whole lot of this, but it just kind of adds to the flavor. So you're going to get this mixed up and you're going to get this browned. Once it's all browned and your veggies are clear, we'll go to the next step. Okay, so once your meat and beef is browned and all your veggies are clear, you're going to go ahead and add in your cream of mushroom. Just put it all in there. And then you're going to go ahead and you can use water. If you don't have beef broth, you're more than welcome to use water. I've done it both ways. This just kind of like I said, I'm in this tiny home now, and so, I'm having an issue with space. So, I'm learning. But anyway, so you just kind of like make sure you get all the cream of mushroom out, all the goodies, and you just add that to it. Okay, so you're going to put this back onto the fire, medium to medium-high heat. You're going to cover it, and you're going to let this probably cook down, simmer for about 30 minutes. And then we will get it all put together. Once that's got this simmered for about 30 minutes, I will be back. I did have to make one more change. Once I got it cooked, I realized I did do a pound and a half or a little bit more of meat. So I had to move up to my 9 by 13 pan. The smaller pan is not going to be enough room. So once you get everything, got that cooked, then you're just going to spray the bottom with some cooking spray, whichever, and then we're going to start layering it. Okay? So you're going to put the potatoes on the bottom, and since these are thin, I am going to be doubling them up. I'll probably go do the layers and then do another right on top of it, because you need a good base for this. So if you can get them thicker than this, then you may only have to do, just one layer on the bottom. But again, I got that new slicer, so I haven't quite figured it out yet. Just being honest. Okay, so let me get this all layered out, and Okay, so once you get a nice layer on the bottom, then you're gonna just cover up your potatoes. You're gonna want to, I don't know, probably, I'm gonna see how far this goes, but you know, you're gonna need at least half at this point for this bottom layer, because we are gonna do another thin layer of potatoes on the top of this, and then we're going to add a little bit of cheese. I know I didn't say that earlier, but and the cheese is optional. I just like to add just a little bit of cheese to the top, just to kind of like give it a nice browning. Okay, so that did take up a good bit, so I'm gonna just kind of make sure all of this is covered. Just use some of this juice, because you do want the juice, you know, you want all the potatoes to have a nice, you know, make sure that they can cook with the juices. Okay, so now that this is done, I'm going to put just a thin layer of potatoes. Just spread this out, just like a little thin layer over the top of those potatoes, and then I'm going to sprinkle with cheese. Okay, so once you have a thin layer of the potatoes here, I sliced 5 potatoes. You probably could get away with 4 of them because I still have potatoes left. Now, a little cheat, if you get to this point and you don't think you're going to have enough juice, and I really don't think I am, then you can just take your beef broth and add maybe about half a cup, just to kind of give you a little bit more juice. But you do want to mix it in with the mushroom gravy, not just pour extra on there, because you do want to make sure it does, you know, get in with all the other juices. So then you're just going to, again, just kind of like put a thin layer. Make sure you're kind of like spreading it out, because there's not as much left of this. Now, if you use more meat, you add, you know, if you had more meat, if you was going with, say, 2 pounds of meat, then use 2 cans of mushroom gravy and 2 cans of the beef broth. So I'm going to get this finished layered out. I'll be right back. Okay, so once you get that done, then you're just going to add some cheese. If you want cheese, I'm using a cheddar blend. I love cheddar cheese, so I'm just going to use just a little bit, just to kind of like sprinkle some over the top. And if you watch me more than a minute, then I'm sure you think, Lord, this woman makes mistakes all the time with my measurements and all that stuff. But, you know, when you're cooking, making a mistake or saying, oh, well, dang it, I should have used more of this or less of this, that's just part of cooking, you know, seasoning it the way you like it. If I used a seasoning you don't like, then try something else. You just like salt and pepper, just use salt and pepper. You know, if you don't like garlic, you know, anything like that. This is one of those meals, I call it a 3-ingredient meal. You've got your meat and your potatoes. That's your main ingredients, and then some cream of mushroom. You got that, you got a meal. So I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees. I'm going to leave it uncovered. Well, I'm sorry. No, see, here I am making my mistakes again. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to cook it for 30 minutes covered. Then I'm going to take the aluminum foil off, and then I'm going to brown the top for about another 15 minutes. So probably total time in the oven is 40 minutes. So once it's all done, I will be back. So it's fresh from the oven. Like I said, I covered it, cooked it 30 minutes, took the top off, cooked it for about another 10 minutes, and I did turn the broiler on for maybe 3 minutes just to kind of get the cheese browned on the top. I'm going to let this sit for about 5 minutes to kind of just cool off a minute, and then I'm going to grab me a plate, and we're going to give it a taste. Okay, so it's been 5 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and scoop me out. Now, you'll notice doing this for just 30 minutes that the potatoes are not going to be mushy. They're still going to have texture to them, and you're going to want them to have texture. Now, the longer you let this sit, the thicker this gravy will get. But, you know, for time's sake, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten today. I'm going to go ahead and get me out a bowl. Let me let this cool off just a minute, and I'm going to take a bite and let you know what I think. Okay, so I've given this time to cool off, so I'm going to get me a bite now. I also made me some home-style green beans with this. That's just got salt, pepper, some potatoes, and the seasoning mix in it. This is nice. It's warm. It's a great comfort meal. Something you could do fairly quickly. You can also cook this on the stove. If you don't want to layer it out and all that stuff, you can put your potatoes in with your meat, cook it, cover it up, and throw some cheese, let it sit for a few minutes, and just eat it right out of the pot. So, if you have any questions, let me know. If not, enjoy, y'all.